97 on Dublin's Q102.
You're very welcome back. We are with one half of Bewitched. I'm not going to crack that old joke again.
The better
it's all right. We love it. The better half. You're getting hate mail now later in the evening. We just talked a bit earlier on about the sudden rise and then the 4 number ones and you know media headlines everywhere. But to an extent, there was probably a little bit of the other side of that, the darker side of the media, when the band ceased to function, if you like.
Yes.
You know, would you read about things and go, I never said that about her, or I gotta get, well, yeah, I'll ring her. Did that help, or did that hinder and create more tension between you?
No, not really. No. I mean, to be honest, we never said anything like that about each. Like
no,
each
and we
other.
were lucky that the media never actually jumped on us like that against each other.
Yeah.
What they did was when we had a number 4 with Jessie Hold On instead of a number 1, God forbid.
That was your 5th single, yeah.
That was our 5th single. That was it. Then the media just completely turned on us, and it was just like they started bashing us over the head with hammers.
Whereas if you'd have come in at number 4 with your debut single, it would have been, look at this is brilliant.
Yeah. We just like we set the bar so high that we could only fall.
How unlucky were you in the way the band lost its manager? Was it this record deal, wasn't it? It was the record company, there was new management put in place or something. Well, what happened?
The record companies merged and they all got smaller.
You got squeezed.
Yeah, we were with one guy who now was too big to actually be our A&R man, so we were passed over to the next guy, and we just weren't his baby.
No, yeah.
And he wasn't interested.
What was he dim? Was he? But was he dim? I mean, you know.
I think so.
But you know, with that level of sales out there, why in God's name would you say?
The funniest thing was we were sitting on a double platinum album when he actually dropped us, and he chose another band who didn't actually even exist at the time over us, so it was so funny.
God.
I know.
How heartbreaking or frustrating, annoying was that at the time?
Do you know what? I remember there was nearly like a year and a half gap where we were kind of doing the 3rd album, and 6 months prior to when we actually got a phone call to say it was over, we kind of felt there was something wrong, because you kind of feel it within the label. People, you know, you can feel those things. You kind of rang Derek and had a little chat, and it's like, no,
he was our manager.
Yeah, Derek, and he had a chat with the record company. No, it's all fine. So then we were all back on board. So when it did actually happen, because we're planning to go to Africa to shoot the video, single was done. That's when it was.
We were waiting for a phone call to book our flights to Africa to follow the team over and make our video.
Goodness.
And instead the phone call was entirely different, and they said we were dropped. So I wasn't that shocked. I really seen it coming. I actually still felt it at that moment. So I was like, oh, okay. So I got off the phone and told Keeveen, and it took me about 10 minutes to actually explain to her what I was talking about.
Oh, God.
She
but
just didn't get it.
Yeah, but how would you when you're on the crest of a wave and suddenly, bang?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
So I remember we were in America on holidays at the time, and we just went nuts for the 2 weeks, drank lots.
Oh, yeah, well, okay.
We snogged loads of boys, got our
Was there a sort of a responsibility that went with what he did in terms of you being role models? Because there would have been hundreds of thousands of kids and adults, of course, would have looked on and said, well, look at the way she's dressing, like the way she does that, don't like the way she does that. Were you conscious of that?
Yeah. I don't think we had to be. We were so good.
Yeah, okay,
we were actually really good role models. The only thing that I felt like that people didn't think we were good role modelling for was that we were so thin. And at times we used to get a lot of stick for that and go, how can they be role models and they're so thin? That's disgraceful. It's like, you can't call it disgraceful. That's just how we are.
It's naturally how you are. Yeah, you're not zipping your every and
Do you know, we didn't do it purposely, and we were good role models as people, and that's all that really mattered, really.
Yeah,
I know.
And was there pressure added because of the family connection?
We never took it on board.
Yeah.
We never took it on board. I think people probably tried to put it on our heads a few times, going, oh, you know, of course you're going to make it because you're, you know, Shane's sisters. And, you know, people even used to say to us when I worked in Marathon Sports, did Shane get you that job?
Oh, no.
What? He was a singer in the UK and he got me a job in Marathon Sports. Like, get a grip. Amazing what people think.
And people, you know, they convince themselves that they're actually right, or they've heard it somewhere, and it's a total untruth.
Absolutely. And I mean, the world think we were managed by Louis Walsh, which we never were.
I know.
Not for a second.
Really?
A
lot of people thought.
No. And everybody thinks we were, but we weren't.
No.
And what about this time out now in terms of management? Are you going to do it yourselves?
We have a new manager, in fairness. I think it's really good to actually have somebody to go to instead of trying to do it all yourselves and between you.
Yeah.
It's good to have like a middle ground, I think, to meet.
And how do you work things within the group, the dynamic of day to day, this time out and last time, say?
We haven't figured it out this time out.
No, we haven't really, but if there's decisions to be made, it's normally majority kind of rules.
All right.
So sometimes it's difficult if it's 2 and 2, because you're gonna you try to like really.
Who has the casting?
Who has the casting?
The nitty gritty of it then.
Yeah. So, but that's always the way it's been. Like, you know, majority rules, as in like.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. It's democracy then. That's good.
Yeah. Back in the day, I probably did most of the business part of it.
Right.
And I don't have the time to do it now, so it's kind of nice to pass it over to everybody a little.
And I suppose with 4 sets of eyes and ears keeping an eye on where the money is coming in from or where the money is going to, it probably makes it easier to control. And
possibly. Sometimes it can complicate it more, but
okay.
Yeah, true.
Let's see how you get on. All right. Now I heard Alan Hughes this morning on AM mentioned about the album.
He's lost out. He's already an album and everything.
He's already done.
Spoken about it.
But will you look? I mean, you know, will you wait? Will you gauge the reaction on the tour first of all, or will you make it a call on it soon? That look, we got to get writing. We got to put a couple of songs together. That's
what we have to do. We're going to get back in the studio and see what kind of chemistry we have in the studio.
Yeah.
It's very easy, I think, to judge the reaction from the big reunion and everyone's excitement over the nostalgia. Yeah. But you know, you have to be careful not to judge that wrong in wanting you to come back.
Right.
So I think that we have to work on a new chemistry in the studio and see if it works as a new project for us.
Yeah.
That's where it has to start.
Exactly, and just not put any pressure on. Just kind of, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great if it did.
Yeah, of course it would be. Yeah.
Like no pressure. We'll go in the studio and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So at the O2 now in May when you arrive there, what would be the ideal scenario? Obviously, full house. You guys all dancing and singing.
Full house.
Who is the audience going to be? Is it going to be the guys who were? Yeah.
This is the weird thing because we played Hammersmith, and just before we came out in Hammersmith, I took a look out and I was like, "Where are those kids?" It was just that everybody was adults, and so they're a little bit more reserved in one sense, and it was just I couldn't get my head around it. It freaked me
above
out.
everything else. That's all she kept saying.
I know.
People were like, "How did you feel on stage?" I couldn't see any of the kids. I was like, well, how did you actually feel?
But isn't that magic? Because they were the kids who were listening to you.
And they're bringing their kids. Which is even more.
I'm getting emotional now. This is fantastic.
But you know what it is? And you're seeing the same faces and everything that you used to see at your gigs and at the stage door and everything. It's crazy.
And so what will happen there is, you know, their kids will be introduced to the music.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if the new album and the new songs do come on stream and they're a hit, you've got your old audience and
a new audience.
And that's the thing; it's so child friendly. I mean, even my eldest daughter, like, she's 5.5, and she loves to put the album on and dance around. She couldn't care less when I'm on TV. Yeah. But if you put the record on, she's just like, I love this. It's my favorite song.
How will that work in terms of last time out? You were 4 single, young girls. Yeah. Do what you want. Yeah. Now, of course, there's families and there's huge responsibility, obviously, that goes with that. Your time isn't on your own.
It's a nightmare at times, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because we're at home kind of full time. Yeah. And it's then when things come in, it's last minute, and it's like, oh my goodness, who's around? What can I do? And so that part of it is really stressful. And I think coming up, like, we've got the 20 nights away.
Right.
So it's 20 sleeps. I have to tell Samara I'm away for 20 sleeps.
Goodness, yeah.
It's a long time.
I'm going to miss them sometimes.
And is that straight 20, or will you get home weekends or anything? No, straight 20.
They literally have done the tour and that we are busy every single day.
Brilliant.
So it's hard.
Now, okay, it goes well, and you've done the 20 nights, it's back home. And what happens if the phone rings again and say, look, 6 months' time we want to put this out again?
Well, they are. It's a Christmas tour.
It's already, okay, great.
Yeah, there's a Christmas
You should be working in the music business.
Good thinking.
That's fantastic.
So we have to work out that schedule as well. But you know what, it is a great gig and we're so excited about it. I mean, the lineup is fab. It's ourselves, 5, Atomic Kitten, 911, Liberty X, the Honeys, and Blue are joining us.
Blue were added in late, weren't they?
Yeah, and they'll be joining us in Dublin as well, just to ruffle a few feathers.
Okay.
My feathers. But they're joining us in Dublin as well, and I'd like to go to the gig.
Yeah.
It's really just get a group of your friends, come down and have a laugh, because it is really great night. We even rehearsing, we're all having a blast with each other.
And because it's an ego-driven business as well. Yeah. How does it work on the night in terms of which acts appear at what time and who draws and decides that?
Well.
Yeah, the producers, kind of ITV, did that.
Okay.
So everybody, you
have your slot.
You have your slot, and that was it.
But they've actually done it where you're coming on and coming off and coming back on.
Very good, very good.
It's a bit like the X Factor when on the tour, all the people do their different things, so no one's necessarily headlining.
There's nobody diva-esque stomping around the place sort of saying, I'm not having this. And that's just Blue.
I did that, but it didn't work.
All right, we'll take a break here and we'll go back with some questions.
Call Cooney.